Hello there my friends, Hank here, and today I'm going to show you guys a quick and easy way to make some scratch-built miniature barbed wire to use for your next scale model project, diorama, or whatever it might be. You don't need any special equipment to make this simple obstacle setup, just a few basic supplies you can get at your local hardware store and you'll be in business. Alright, so let's go over our supplies real quick. First up, we're going to need some of these longer wooden dowels, some shorter wooden dowels, or you could just cut up the long ones, whatever works for you. Some galvanized steel wire. I'm going to be making this barbed wire in roughly 1/35th scale, so I'm using 24 gauge here. A bit of finer brass wire. This is in 28 gauge. Some super glue, and some wire snippers, or an old set of sprue snippers. As always, I'll have links to all the products we use in today's video down in the description below for you to check out. Now, I'm going to be demonstrating this barbed wire technique by making some mid-sized beach obstacles, but once you get the hang of the method, you can really use this for a whole slew of things. So first up, let's make two simple leg crosses for either side of our barricade. All I'm doing here is making a little X with two of my smaller dowels and wrapping a bit of the thicker galvanized wire around it, just like so. We're going to make two of these, and I find that it helps to pop a little bit of super glue on the joint as well to really secure the bond so those wires don't slip on us. And next we can glue our crossbeam using those two legs we've made, and once that glue hardens, we can just come back and wrap a little wire around there as well. Nothing fancy here whatsoever. Remember, these are just basic handmade obstacles. They're not factory perfect or anything like that. Alright, so once we've got our frame built up, let's start by making some of the barbed wire itself. We'll start by cutting ourselves a decent length of the thicker galvanized wire, maybe 2 feet long or so, and folding that in half evenly. And then we can grab something to tighten this around. I'm using a hobby knife, but a pencil would work just fine as well. And we're just going to go ahead and carefully wind this wire up. This is going to make the core of our barbed wire. So just go along and twist that up until we reach the end of our section here. Once that's done, we can cut off a length of our thinner brass wire, maybe a foot or so, but you can adjust that after you get a little practice based on your preference. And up by our loop on the galvanized wire here, we're going to go ahead and wrap the end of our brass wire around it in 3 or 4 tight little coils. And then we're going to make a little U, kind of like this, bring it back up to the galvanized wire, and pinch it about 1/4 inch or less down the wire core. And then we're going to do another 3 or 4 coils here to secure that little U in place. So we're looking for something that looks a bit like this. And now we're going to keep repeating that process, but each time we're going to switch sides of the galvanized core. So we're going to have a U, and then an upside down U, and then another U, and so forth. And we're just going to keep plugging away like that. If you run out of brass wire before you get to the end of your galvanized core, just grab yourself a little bit more of that brass wire and carry on by starting next to wherever you left off. And then eventually you're going to get something that looks a little bit like this funky little wiggly wire here. And what we want to do now is take our snippers and start cutting off those brass hoops about 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch away from the core. And what this is going to leave us with are some very sharp little barbs wherever we made the coils around our main galvanized core. And I will say here, be careful. This is effectively just tiny barbed wire. It is really sharp. You're going to poke yourself a time or two, or 2,000 times, as you go along here, so please do take care and try not to hurt yourself here. And once we've got all those little brass hoops removed, you can see we've got a nice length of barbed wire here. This is constructed just like the real deal. And now that we've got ourselves our first strand of barbed wire, let's attach it to our obstacle frame. I find that a few little dabs of super glue help you start, and once those dry, you can come back and trim and wrap the excess wire around the frame itself. And now all you really need is some time. Just pop on a documentary, some music, whatever you like, and keep knocking out a bunch more strands of that barbed wire. And eventually, you're going to have enough to completely cover your obstacle like this. Now that our construction is done, let's go ahead and address the color here, because that brass really stands out in a not so authentic way. Easy fix though. All we're going to do is grab some aluminum paint and start hitting those brass bits. Nothing fancy at all, just work all around the obstacle and get those covered so the whole thing is a uniform metallic color. Now to treat the wooden posts, let's just grab a bit of enameled dark wash and slap that on there. Quick and easy stain, and that'll make the posts look like they've been out in the elements for some time. Easy peasy. And while we're at it, a bit of that wash on the wire itself wouldn't hurt either. After all, nobody's taking these obstacles out of the rain every night for safekeeping. And simple as that, you've got yourself a nice bit of realistic barbed wire to use for your next diorama project. Not too bad, huh? Be sure to subscribe right here to Sprues and Brews Scale Modeling if you haven't done so already for weekly tips, tricks, techniques, and history videos. And until next time, my friends, be well, happy building, Cheers.